Hi, my name is Mel, and I want to talk about what it can be like to deconvert or deconstruct from Christianity. I used to be Christian, but it can be about any specific religion. And look, deconstructing can mean a lot of different things depending on the person, like questioning beliefs, unpacking childhood teachings, examining sort of like church culture, or rebuilding a worldview that feels more authentic to the person. It's a deep personal process, not a single path, and people move through it at different speeds and different reasons and end up in different places. All right? So, deconstructing in a general sense means examining the beliefs you were taught. It can mean examining religious texts and examining culture, identifying what feels true or healthy, and letting go of anything that doesn't. So, identifying things that are true or healthy, and letting go of anything that doesn't feel true or healthy. So, it is not attacking Christianity or rebelling, and it's not necessarily automatically become atheist or agnostic, although it can lead to that. All right? It is questioning, evaluating, understanding, and rebuilding. Some people might stay Christian, but with a very different theology. They become more progressive. Some shift, as I said, to progressive or more contemplative or cultural versions of the faith. Some will leave religion entirely. Some will land somewhere in between. There is no correct destination. And why do people begin deconstructing? People often start this process because because of some sort of experience. And one experiences could be harmful church environments like authoritarian leadership, purity culture, shame-based teachings, spiritual abuse, exclusion of LGBTQ plus people, which is a big one. It could be for intellectual or theological questions, contradictions in doctrine and in the Bible, science versus literalism, historical context, biblical interpretation, moral or ethical conflicts, teachings that conflict with personal values, political entanglement, such as Christian nationalism, treatment of women or minorities, personal life events, trauma, loss, major transitions, relationships changing. Deconstruction can be a response to tension between what someone was taught and what they've actually experienced. So, what the process can look like. Everyone's path is different, but people can move through some stages such as questioning. You will start noticing inconsistencies and harmful patterns. You will ask, why was I taught this and who benefits from this teaching? And I would suggest that everyone in every religion should ask these questions. Why was I taught this? And who benefits and who doesn't? Who is treated as less than because of these teachings? And that's a big one. Because if we want a fair and just world that is fair to women or LGBTQIA plus people, then we need to question, why was I taught this and who benefits and who doesn't benefit from this teaching? And we need to also question all of scripture, whether it's biblical, Quran, or others, okay? Because we need to say, why was this written, the context it's written, and should we discard or modify it for today's environment? Because I think telling people they're sinners or bad for being LGBTQIA plus people is horrific, and I think giving women lesser status because of what's in a scripture or what's being identified possibly in scripture is also not great. So this is something that everyone, I think, for the sake of humanity, needs to do. All right, unlearning. You can examine and should examine inherited beliefs, cultural assumptions, fear-based teachings, internalized shames. This stage can feel very destabilizing but freeing. And you can also look at the fact that if someone deconverts or becomes an apostate, like they become an atheist, it doesn't mean they're bad or they're rejecting you personally or rejecting your culture. They are rejecting their version of their religion. And I think religious people need to treat people who become apostates or atheists or agnostic, and don't automatically, it's because we want to sin, it's because we had this harmful experience. We can often get to being an atheist from being religious for very rational reasons. But also, to look, atheists need to give, I think, religious people a little bit more grace and understand that if they're being expressing harmful or toxic views, it's because they were taught that. And we need to explain why harmful and toxic views that are in religion are bad and how they harm both the religious people and non-religious people alike. So, reevaluating, you should explore history, psychology, philosophy, other Christian or other religious traditions, other religions, secular ethics. And I say this to everybody: secular morality and ethics, ethical systems like secular humanism is vital, I think, for everybody, whether you're religious or non religious. You build a wider lens and you build a more tolerance and acceptance of different people. So, reconstructing, you should decide what you want to keep or discard. So, look, for me, compassion and empathy, I've kept that. Justice, equity, and inclusion. So, inclusion of disabled people, help for the poor, equity for people who are disadvantaged, lower class, people, understanding of how racism or discrimination affects people. Discriminate, wanting to support minorities like LGBTQIA. I'm queer myself, genderqueer. I'm, gender fluid, trans. And so I want to support and, women getting, abortions if they need, contraceptions, justice for women, justice for men, justice for non-binary people, right? Personal experience. Community, which is a big one. We need much more secular communities. There's nothing, some religious communities are fine, but some aren't. Spirituality, if that means something to you. Secular humanism, a different form of your religion that's more accepting and more inclusive. And I would say that for deconverting it from anything, that is, you should deconvert from harmful ideologies that say that, like, anyone that's atheist or Christian or lesbian, gay, or whatever, or women are less than, right? So, common challenges during deconstruction. Identity shifts. If your religion, like Christianity, has shaped your identity, questioning can feel like losing part of yourself. So many people are taught in all religions that questioning is sinful or the work of Satan. Doubt is dangerous. Leaving means punishment or losing your community. Unlearning fear is part of the process. Community loss. Look, and in many cases, this is why we need to educate people about deconstructing. So if someone deconstructs their religion, they can and do lose family, friends, or their religion or their church or community. And they may not understand this can be very painful and isolating. Emotional whiplash, you might feel relief, grief, anger, clarity, confusion, fear. And anger often is common, and these are very normal. The reason why you can feel anger is because you feel lied to, right? And you need to, and look, I think people need to work through all these in constructive ways, healthy ways to navigate deconstruction. And this is what everyone should do of every religion, whether you keep your faith or you don't. Okay, give yourself permission to question. Everybody's got the right to question. Is there a God? Is what I taught is true? Why are they teaching that? Who does it benefit? Why does my scripture say that? What were the political aspects of the time of what that scripture was written in? What were they trying to reinforce? And you need to realize all of this because all the scripture is human constructed. Whether a God had something to do with it or not, I don't think so. But all scripture of any religion is all human construction. So we need to realize that they were written at a time and a place, often for ideological, political, theological purpose, right? It doesn't necessarily mean what happened to truth. So seek diverse perspectives. Avoid rushing to any new identity. And this will take time. And it will happen in stages for me. Like it's been 22, 23 years plus, and I'm still going through different stages and different ways of looking at my identity and deconstructing things as well. So you can explore history, psychology, philosophy, find safe, non-judgmental people to talk to. Be gentle with yourself. Forgive yourself. This is very deep work. It is not about destroying your past. It's about understanding it and choosing your future with intention. Okay, and I would encourage everyone to deconstruct their theological beliefs. So whether you keep your theological beliefs or you don't, you should, in all sincerity and all compassion here, research do you believe the things you do? Why were you taught, or why are you taught the things you're taught? Why does your scripture say the things it do? What is its basis? And why does your community, your church, your mosque, or whatever, have the policies it does? And who do those policies leave out and harm? All right. And if there is some kind of God, this God should want everyone to feel included, and it should love LGBTQIA plus people and women equally because it created them, right? It is not a sin to be LGBTQIA plus. It is, you should not be considered lesser or horrible or doing something wrong to be LGBTQIA plus. And a lot of more progressive religious people are embracing this now. And I would encourage everyone, whether you're religious or not, to embrace minorities who have and still are persecuted in your societies. Thank you for your time.